Hey, this is Henry Rotten.
Hey, this is Marcus Centofonte.
It's Brad fucking Rush.
This is Big Sexy Venom here.
This is Kill OK.
This is Killjoy.
Hi, this is Tim Lee.
Mike Damage.
This is Doc Holliday.
Yo, it's Barack Obama.
This is Alex Cross, and hold on, let me take a sip of my beer. This is Alex Cross, and you're listening to the GBYWN podcast. And when you get done with that, you can join me for some Supercard of the backyard and some cans and clams. Don, I missed you, brother.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Global Backyard Wrestling Nation podcast. As always, I am your host, Rad Hazardian, and this is our second edition of the podcast for the new year of 2015. Now, this last weekend, I was actually supposed to be in Connecticut to wrestle for the 203 BYW as a part of the Team EWA invading 203 BYW. As every year, there is a New Year's edition of their promotion. And unfortunately, after multiple years of this New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, New Year's Week, whatever you want to call it, show, we got snowed out, folks. For the first time in I don't know how many years, it got snowed out, and I didn't get to make it. No, the show was canceled. It was all over. Stayed home here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Bethlehem, PA. I've been told recently everyone in Pennsylvania calls Pennsylvania PA. Much like how I used to complain about how everyone calls it Las Vegas, Nevada, which sounds like some rich butler asking what kind of champagne you want. Sir, would you like to go to Nevada? No, forget that. It's Nevada. And I explain it very easily. Awe, as in something you're in awe of, because you've never been to Nevada. Or as in you've been to Nevada and you know how much it sucks there. So anyway, that rant is over. And let me move on to this week's interview, which is actually a Q&A, our very first Q&A here on the podcast, including the former GBYWN World Champion Sam Jude and the current reigning and defending RCWA Internet Television Champion Tim Lee. Both men sat down in a pub in England and answered your questions off of the GBYWN Epicenter, as well as questions from the RCWA roster. And part one of that will be on this show here today. I am so excited for you to hear two very drunk British men ranting and raving about what they love and hate about this great subgenre we call backyard wrestling. In the meantime, I will also start to talk about the October 2014 events within our global circuit, as we will be only talking about a couple of the events, not the entire month, because we are getting that much closer to current events here in what is January of 2015, where there hasn't even been a show yet, so we don't want to catch up too quickly. We'll only talk about 3 events today. But before we even get to that, since I was originally going to talk about my trip to Connecticut, which has not happened, I have to find something else to kill time with. And what else do I kill time with, folks? If you listen to the last episode, you know how I kill time. I like to talk about things. I like to talk about things only a mark would complain about. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that's come and gone from my mind over many a year. here in the global backyard wrestling nation, because it is, without a shadow of a doubt, a huge part of the backyard wrestling style. And I truly do believe that there is a style to backyard wrestling that is not a mimic of professional wrestling, not a mimic of indie wrestling, perhaps a hybrid of both and a little more creative. I like to call it hyper reality, as opposed to the logic, the real world logic that most mainstream wrestling uses, and a slightly more, I would say, extreme version of the logic and the wrestling logic of indie wrestling. So we're kind of like a notch up. That's how I like to think of it. And this is a huge part of that wrestling psychology in BYW. It's something I see all the time, and we're all guilty of it. We all use it once in a while. I myself have used it on a few occasions. And let me paint the picture for you, folks. You take two great wrestlers. They're in a heated battle. Back and forth, constantly. The face gets his heat. The heel gets his heat. The face makes his comeback. The heel gets to cut him off. There's a double down. They both get up. The face starts making a comeback, but the heel cuts him off yet again. The heel's getting the advantage. The heel hits a huge move. He may perhaps even his finishing maneuver, his best hold, and goes for the cover. The referee gets down to his belly. He raises his hand. It's a cover of one, and the face kicks out at one. He kicked out at one, folks. He's getting up as if nothing had affected him. He's hitting his own finishing maneuver, and it's a 3 count for the face. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to that fire up, that fighting spirit, the crowd got into a huge roar and got to see the comeback of a lifetime with that face in that huge wrestling match. And that is what we're going to talk about today. The fire up, the fighting spirit, the quote-unquote no sell. And that is something I just do not like when people call it the no sell, because folks, that is the absolute worst thing you could call this move, a no sell. I mean, think about it. What is the most important thing in all of wrestling? Selling. If you're not selling, you're not doing your job. So to call something a no sell is almost insulting the spot in itself. It's not a no sell, and that's why I want to explain the psychology behind the fighting spirit, to make sure that when you do it in the future, you know when to use it, how to use it, and why you are using it, outside of the fact that, oh, it's going to surprise people when I kick out at one. You have to understand why you're doing it and how you're doing it in order to get that crowd at its maximum pitch for that 1 count. I mean, we see it in Japanese wrestling all the time. Why does it work in Japanese wrestling? Why does it work in the Puro style? And I think it all starts with image. When you think of the Japanese style of wrestling, what do you think of when you think of a Japanese wrestler? You think of a big badass. You think of a tough guy that can take a beating and keep going and give a beating as well. And that is why it works. The fire up is not a no sell. It's not the elimination of pain. It is the idea that you are fighting through the pain, the fighting spirit. So when you're getting hit with these moves, it's not a fact that the moves do not affect you, or that the move doesn't quote-unquote hurt, or any of that sense. The idea is that when a wrestler hits this huge move on you, it's not the end of the match. You know you can kick out at 2, but the psychology behind it is that you kick out at 1 in order to surprise the opponent into a sudden state of shock, in order for you to grab them and hit them with another move. And notice I say another move, not another sequence or another 10 minutes of wrestling or anything like that. You have legitimately been hit with their best move or one of their best signature moves. You don't wrestle for another 10 minutes after that. That's not the idea. The idea is to be your last breath, the last gasp. So what do? Out of pure desperation, you don't wait till the 2 count. You wait till 1, you kick out, you surprise them, and then you hit your own move. And in most cases, this will result in either the end of the match or some form of very long double down. If it's done halfway through the match and is used as a double down, that works as well, but you need the time to rest after that. The idea is that you still feel the effect of this move. It's just that you are taking a whole bunch of pain and holding it in for as long as you can before stopping. And I'll give you a great example. Anybody who has wrestled has been kicked in the stomach at some point. Maybe they got kicked in the nuts at some point. That sucks, right? Now, in a perfect world, that wouldn't happen. But when it does happen, sometimes you have the chance that, you just got kicked in the nuts. You have a chance to sit down and relax for a second and go, damn, that hurt. And then there are other times where maybe you're so pissed at the guy who did it, or maybe you're in a match, or maybe you're some sort of activity at the time where you got kicked directly in the nuts, and rather than sit down, you chase after the guy. You run after the guy. You cause a scene, man, and you go right after him. And maybe you only get a couple of yards, and then you're done. You have to get on your knees for a second. You have to bend over for a second because it's finally got back to you. It finally wore you down. And the same idea works in real world. The same real world idea, and the same real world idea should work here in wrestling and backyard wrestling. The fire up, the fighting spirit. Do not call it a no-sell. It's just a name, I understand that. But you have to understand that it's not a no-sell. As long as you understand that, hey, you're gonna have a much better match because you're gonna utilize the fighting spirit a much better way. And that's all I hope. That's all I want from you guys. When you utilize that fighting spirit, when you guys use that fighting spirit, use it at the right time, at the right moment. And you gotta be a tough guy. You gotta show that toughness. Maybe even utilize the idea that your opponent hit you with a move not fully. Maybe he was hurt. Maybe he wasn't able to apply it correctly. Maybe he was so tired he couldn't drive you to the mat as hard as he normally would, and thus you're able to sucker him out with that one count. It doesn't always have to be hit you with your best move and suddenly kick out and be the son of the Incredible Hulk or something. That is the exact opposite of what you should do. The exact opposite. Sell, folks. You gotta sell. Even after the match, you keep selling because, hey, you had that fighting spirit. Just like in the real world, if you were hurt and there was a fire next to you, do you think you'd sit there and talk about your sprained knee or your broken leg? No, you try to get up and run. But once you're away from that danger, the pain all comes back. The adrenaline starts to go down and you feel the pain. So keep that in mind, folks. Keep that in mind for fire-ups and for the post-match, right after those fighting spirits. And I guarantee you, the crowd will be even more into the match because they are witnessing the surprise and they're feeling the surprise that your opponent feels during that fighting spirit. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is something only a mark would complain about.
Hold up just a damn minute. If anybody should be in this title match, it should be the richest man in the land. That's right. They know the name. They know the name, baby. And if anybody's gonna get this match, it's gonna be me. You know why? Because I can. Because I got the motherfucking money for it.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time. It's time. It's time. It's GBYWN recap time. October 9th, 2014 in the United Kingdom, hosted RCWA Underground, Volume 111. In the opening contest, the RCWA Internet Television Champion Tim Lee defeated Storm and Dick Manwich. One-on-one as Jumper defeated Brian Killjoy by way of disqualification. And in your main event of the evening, Ash Draven wrestled Sean Wilson to a no contest. October 11th, 2014 in Australia, hosted WZWA Backyard TV Episode 10. In the opening contest, Brandon Cage defeated Emilio. Non-title action as Luke Monnet defeated the WCWA Backyard Champion Mike Delcano. And in your main event of the evening, Hydro defeated Aston Crude. October 11th, 2014 in Australia, hosted WCWA The Musical 2014. In the opening contest, Big Ace defeated El Papacito. Luke Monnett defeated Arthur Aries in singles competition. The WCWA Tag Team Championship was on the line as the Elite Alliance of Blade Shaw and Ryan Tate successfully defended the gold over Broken Highway Mafia. One-on-one as Hydro defeated the WCWA Tag Team Champion Ryan Tate. A hardcore match saw Antilochus defeat Kilowatt Chaos. A grudge match saw Clint Marshall defeat Daniel Johnson. In Dark Ice's final fight, Dark Ice defeated Dan Zeppelin in a death match. Acid successfully defended the GBYWN Australian Championship over Jack Wallace. A Challenger's Choice Falls Count Anywhere match saw Nick Ariel defeat Mike Del Cano to become the new WCWA Backyard Champion. Three Dogs successfully defended the GBYWN World Hardcore Championship over Brian Lowe. And in your main event of the evening, Aston Crude defeated Alex Stone to become the new WCWA Champion. Three great events, and as always, I only review backyard wrestling shows from Vimeo.com or YouTube.com. That is mandatory for all Global Backyard Wrestling Nation territories. So all these events I talk about are on Vimeo.com for RCWA or YouTube.com for all other backyard shows in the Global Backyard Wrestling Nation. So if you happen to want to see the reigning and defending RCWA Internet Television Champion Tim Lee retain his title, maybe you want to see Hydro wrestle Aston Crude, or see Aston Crude win the WCWA Championship, or maybe even Three Dog retaining that GBYWN World Hardcore Championship, this is the place to do it. Vimeo.com, YouTube.com, and the GBYWN. Chris Mula. Cameraman Dan here. Just want to talk to you about...
What's going on, cameraman Dan?
Hey, what's going on, my man? Hey, I heard you got a title match against Johnny Boy. Now, I know last week you tried to buy your way into that GBYWN World title match at NYE4.
I tried to buy my way, but they didn't accept my money.
I saw it. Didn't work out.
Their whole show could have been a lot better if they just would have took Moolah's cash.
I know, I hear you there. But this time you do got a title shot.
This time I do got a title shot, and I'm gonna make good on it. And when you guys see Moolah walking around here with the gold, you already know what's up.
Alright, good luck, Moolah.
Thank you, cameraman.
So now, folks, we have reached our main event of the evening. As Tim Lee and Sam Jude sit down with us, well, they're sitting in a pub, but we're sitting in a pub in our minds as we get to listen to their Q&A, starting with part 1 and the RCWA roster. Here we go.
Hello people, and welcome to this very special New Year's episode of the GBYWN podcast with myself, yours truly, your favourite temporary American representative, Tim Lee, and joining me in the booth and a pub today is none other than the former GBYWN champion, Sam Jude. Sam Jude, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing alright. We're in a pub. It's a good day.
cheap drinks. I'm drinking Jack Daniels, Disciana and Coke. It's a Godfather. It's double shot as well. It's going to get weird pretty quickly.
So essentially, Sam's answers are going to begin a lot more interesting throughout the process of this. So,
Damn right.
we're going to just not have any nonsense like other podcasts, and we're just going to get straight into this. So, Sam Jude, what is the first question that we have?
First question is by RCWA's own Tom Peacock,
Oh,
dirty bastard, Phantom. He asks, funniest moment in wrestling, scripted and or unscripted? And or.
I'm trying to remember what. I'd say funniest moment, scripted. I'd say it's scripted. Is Crazy Pete. Generally Crazy Pete at MYE.
Crazy Pete is crazy.
In Tag Gauntlet, he was in the Tag Gauntlet, he comes out, he was fucked, drunk as fuck.
Probably on some sort of substance as well.
Some sort of substance abuse he was going through. He decides to come out and start wrestling, but out of nowhere, he comes out with "Here comes Petey," and just legs it, double clothesline, and then decides that on German suplexes it's the best thing to say. Ah!
That's fantastic.
Which was fantastic to me.
Crazy Pete is fantastic. I do love him. For the funniest, we got unscripted. That was unscripted, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was scripted or it was unscripted.
Crazy Pete's not.
Yeah.
Crazy Pete is the most unscripted man going. I would probably go for unscripted. We have a guy at RCWA, Lucian.
I already know what's coming. Jesus.
So Lucian, he's an older guy, per se. He goes up top. He's in an 8-man scramble, 6-man scramble, something like that. He does a dive to the outside, like a nice plancher.
Off top rope.
Off the top rope. It was pretty insane. And all the guys decided, let's not catch his stomach, let's catch his legs. By the way, Jimmy Spino just Snapchatted me. But that's not the point. Lucian dives, they catch his legs, so he just kind of hits his face first on the outside. It was perhaps the funniest thing I've ever seen. I don't know what. It was a super show.
I don't know. I think it was a super show, but I can't remember exactly what super show it was. I just thought
it was after Summer Sacrifice.
Yeah. So let's just clarify this. Lucian is not a regular resident of the top rope facility, and
not a regular wrestler.
Yeah, he's not even a regular human being. But I mean, half his face. But I mean, go from there. But bless him. He tried, and as he came down, he just lands on his face on the mats, and then gets up and just puts his hands on his face, not even celebrating that he's done a dive. And I couldn't.
When it comes crashing down, it hurts inside. You see?
Oh my god!
You see, that reference made a lot of sense because his finisher is a leg drop,
and his thing is Luciamania.
Yeah, he has the red and yellow. Walks around with
basically, it looks like a hillbilly trying to be Hulk Hogan without the hair.
Yeah, that's probably my answer.
I'd say the same.
Scripted.
That
wasn't scripted. Lucian game. I'm glad it got you.
I'm gonna know funniest moment being scripted.
Any Dirty Ash moment.
Dirty Ash. It's Filthy Ash. Filthy Ash is a non-regular at RCWA. His promo skills are unmatched. You got your Sid Viciouses, you got your Scott Steiners, you got your Filthy Ash. That's what we say. Because he'll just be... I don't know how to describe his... He's not got a regular English accent. Someone will challenge him and say, do you want a match? No. What are you talking about? Sam's trying to contain it at the moment. That's literally all he is. He's just bullshit after bullshit.
It's fantastic. No, don't get me wrong. Like, it is some of my favourite things I've ever seen in wrestling is Filthy Ash. Like,
that's a fucking huge statement.
It generally is. I've seen him come out at ECWA.
Funniest scripted moment at ECWA.
Funniest. Oh God, do you want to tell everyone about that?
We went to a show in Basildon, which is in Essex, where we're from, and it was for a company called ECWA. Now this was just our own RTWA's Johnny Royals company. It was in a small, slight, like bingo hall, or it was like a social club meeting hall. So the roof was very low, the ring was like to the floor.
By the way, Davey Richards is following me on Instagram.
Oh, Davey Richards has just followed Sam. Random.
Is that actually Davey? That is Wesley Richards.
Oh, good old Wesley. I've got a good story about Wesley actually. Josh Wall put up a status about 2 years ago stating that he didn't.
Wasn't it?
No, it was a status on Facebook. He stated that he didn't like Davey Richards anymore, all he uses kicks. Everyone started commenting. He forgot that he actually had Davey Richards on Facebook.
Oh, good old
And
Wes.
Davey Richards just comments going, "No, I don't suck. I've got the paycheck to prove it," and then blocked him. And it was phenomenal.
That's a really good comeback.
But yeah, ECWA. It was just in this small bingo hall. First match, ring broke. We're talking if you stepped in anywhere in the ring, they just sunk in. And then Filthy Ash comes out in with it wasn't a baseball bat, it was a cricket bat. Cricket bat bandana. Running trainers and running tights, and he keeps threatening the crowd with the handle of the cricket bat, obviously the most dangerous part, and then proceeds to get shit on and have a shit match. And then that was the funniest scripted moment.
Joe walked out on that.
Joe, yeah, Dick Manwich, halfway through the match. I say halfway, it was probably quarter.
Because he tried to give a muscle buster and he wouldn't let go of the rope.
Yeah.
He was upside down and he was trying to pull him and he couldn't.
Joe's just trying to yank him off and force him to take a muscle buster, and Ash was like, "No, I'm not taking it."
Oh, it was honestly one of
The
the
amount of inbreds we have in wrestling at the moment is unreal.
Wrestling attracts weird people.
It does.
Wrestling does generally attract weird people, which leads on to the next question actually.
No.
Worst moment caught on camera? Harley.
Harley in general.
No, Harley and the Lady Gaga.
Oh, right, I've got two here. So we both agree on one, and there's another one. So Harley caught on camera with his Lady Gaga. What happened was, we have a very special guy who comes to...
I love him. He recently took the show yesterday, Days to Remember. It was on the pre-show, but it was still fucking magnificent. Harley, he's been wrestling hard now, 6 months.
Yeah.
Guy called Khan gets him for a German suit. He gets him for a German. Harley doesn't want to take him German. So he just kind of throws him over. But he kind of does like a cross body in midair.
Harley was going over onto his head and managed to somehow straighten his body into a cross body onto nothing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And the thing with Harley is when he sells, his face doesn't change.
He just laughs in his mouth.
He just laughs and bites his lip, and that's it. No, so Harley comes out to bear in mind Harley's entrance themes are like death metal, and he just goes, "Just so you know, guys," unzips his hoodie. He's got a Lady Gaga t-shirt on, and he goes, "I like Lady Gaga." Nothing. Dead silence everywhere. And then he just looks like a bend.
It was fantastic as well. Like our crowds at our stereo are pretty weird. Sometimes they're really good and sometimes they're shit. Yesterday was quite a lively.
Oh, it was an amazing crowd. Yeah,
really good crowd. So what happens? Harley comes out, no Lady Gaga t-shirt. Everyone in chorus sings
Bad Romance.
It was paparazzi.
No, and it was
Oh, of course
that one.
was, yeah.
Of course it was. I don't sing, but
that was fantastic.
that's Harley. The other one, worst moment caught on camera. Don't think it will ever be shown, which it should be because it was fucking sick. The Billy Wood dive.
Yeah,
that was disgusting.
That was probably the worst but best thing I've ever seen.
It was the most legitimate worry in anyone's life. So, I mean, like from a live perspective, I've seen worse on video, but like from a live perspective, that was the worst thing. So, and throws Andy out to the matted area, goes for a dive. Now, Billy doesn't really dive. Everyone usually does the typical suicide dive through the middle rope. Billy decided that this time he was going to be a bit fruity, and he went to dive over the top rope. Now, Billy did this miraculous thing when he did. So he runs off, gets a bit of speed, but as he jumps, he kind of just jumps straight up, and his thighs hang on the top rope. So he just goes seesawing straight over and basically comes down head first, and he misses the matted area. Andy caught him kind of last second, and if Andy wouldn't have caught him, he would have
died.
Yeah, he would have either been paralysed, dead. But it was funny, nonetheless.
That was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, but it's the worst thing I've ever seen live. It was funny afterwards.
Oh, we had a laugh and a joke about
Yeah.
it. It's the best brainbuster I've ever seen.
Best rope hung DDT I've ever gone for.
What a maneuver!
Right.
Right, next. Oh, for God's sake, my phone locked.
Yeah, we're a bit amateur here in this one.
Right, last question. This is your question, Tim.
Okay, cool.
What is your general reaction when one of your spots gets edited out of a video?
Oh, for fuck. Right. Let's get this straight. I did the go to cock during a match, a tag match, to a girl. She was absolutely fine with it, no problems whatsoever. Week goes by and I get a message from Lord Stephen Farrell, who edits the videos, makes most of his time towards the videos, and get a message saying that Doan, who's a wrestler at RCWA, doesn't want the go to cock to be in there because he thinks it affects her chances within going back to WAW, because apparently what we found out is that WAW watches RCWA, so that means we've got Ricky Knight watching us. Hold it in, Sam, it's fine, it's good.
No, I thought you were going somewhere else from what you said.
What?
No, I just thought you were going somewhere else.
No, say it, wait, it's a shoot, let's do it.
No, I'm not saying it.
Why not? Whisper it to me then.
No, edit this out. That's all I did in my podcast with fucking Mike.
I'm not editing this out.
I ain't saying it, but the whole thing that happened with her and WAW.
Oh, okay, yeah. So,
I thought you were going down that road.
we heard things that happened for WAW, which we won't say out of respect, because I don't have any problems with Emma.
Very good wrestler.
But Doan was the one that mentioned it, and then Farrell took it out of the video, so it looks fucking stupid in the video, because it goes from me hitting Emma to then a replay of me hitting Emma, and then we're both down and get a hot tag, which doesn't make any sense. And
no, it does not.
My whole opinion on the whole thing is that I don't like when obviously stuff gets edited out. If it's a botch, it's a botch. Edit it out, absolutely. If it's like the start of the match fucks up and you go through it again, edit that out, no problems whatsoever. But if it's a spot, then bearing in mind, everyone voted funniest moment of the day, including Doan.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then it gets edited out, bearing in mind everyone was waiting for it.
Yeah?
Then, yeah, it fucked me off. So, if Doan does listen to this, I'd rather you would have said it to my face.
It's on my face!
Alex Riley style. I'd rather you would have Riley'd me. And, yeah, I was just a bit disappointed because I thought you were better than that. I know it sounds horrible saying it. I thought it was a little bit better. I mean, obviously I joke about and stuff like this in wrestling, but I mean, when it comes to like something serious like that, if it affected him that much, don't go behind my back and say it and then wait for me to find out, especially since no one keeps anything from anyone. Farrell will tell me everything. So that's what I found stupid.
Yeah, that's exactly the same.
Like, I don't want to get into it any further, but that's my whole opinion on it.
My opinion, I've had this done a couple of times due to my match length, which is stupid, but that never bothered me too much. If they want to shorten it, they want to have a strict timeline, and you know, Steve doesn't want the shows being too long, and I respect Steve for editing them and stuff like that all the time he gives to it, so that doesn't bother me. What does bother me, and I'm half a way through a jug of picture at the moment, so we're getting out. We wrestle for RCWA, underground wrestling. Another word for backyard wrestling.
Yep.
And I have to sit there while I was GBYWN champion, which, quote unquote, I'm not saying I am, made me one of the better wrestlers in backyard wrestling.
Absolutely.
I did a promo in RCWA, quite a heavy promo. That was after RCWA 100, where Jack Fox infamously didn't want to put me over.
Yep.
Because Jack Fox is a Steve Corino-like cunt. I like Steve Corino, I don't like Jack Fox. And I was doing a promo, and you know, I was talking about backyard and stuff like that. I watched the show, and it was a very good promo. I thought it was a very honest promo. and I go to see it back, and they bleep out the word backyard.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. That bothers me a hell of a lot, because there's a lot of guys there. Will, Ash, Will and Ash both going to do pro stuff. Wilson's doing pro stuff. Trying to shy away from the word backyard, but it is backyard. It doesn't matter if you're in a hall or fucking farm, anything.
This is my point, because we discussed this before we even started recording. Like,
yes, we did.
With the whole RCWA moniker, we got into it when it was backyard. Like, I did the first ever RCWA show, that was in Will's back garden, doing a ring there. And then we went on to the
Mats in the
hall, started doing a series called Detonation, RCWA Detonation, and we posted it on the UK Backyard Wrestling forums. Now, once it changed to Underground, we still posted our stuff there for the first time being, but then suddenly it started shying away from that point. But then, if you consider Detonation backyard, and you were still wrestling in a hall with a ring, and that was backyard, then why is it all of a sudden changed? What, because there's storylines now, you've got people who watch us, you've got WAW apparently watch us now, which I didn't know. But it's the fact that it got bleeped out, and you recognise Sam as your GBYWN champion, even on camera in RCWA. So you can still say BYW, but as soon as you mentioned the word backyard, it got all bleeped out. Yep. Everyone got in a hissy fit with us online. But like, in true honesty, you can say whatever you want. I can understand why people get pissed off by it. I can understand it from that point of view. But then you've got to see it from the point of view that you have people who still... me and Sam went over to America. We went over to wrestle there.
Yeah.
And that was in someone's backyard. And in all honesty, it was still 2 days worth of wrestling was better than any RCWA event I'd ever been to. And that's because there was so much more people there. Yeah. Obviously, there's going to be advantages and disadvantages, but
I don't think there was any disadvantages of being at MYE. When I go to RCWA, it's not a hangout. I go to RCWA, I see all my friends, my better friends and stuff like that, and I enjoy being with them.
Yeah.
But I can't sit there, I can't chill out, I can't have a beer, I can't relax, It's very uptight. It is very uptight. I don't want to sit there and feel like I'm working an audience. I want to sit there and go, okay, I'm going to mutilate my body for the fun. I don't want to mutilate my body for not being paid on a live but not live show.
Yeah.
And that's my personal opinion. You talk to guys like Steve, and I think, I think we'll both agree, Steve's one of our better friends in RCWA.
Absolutely.
And I love Steve to bits. Steve got his start wrestling on grass, and I don't think, if I'm honest, when it comes to the editing part of this, he didn't edit that out.
No.
I don't think he had any choice. I think the powers that will be, which we're going to talk about, the powers that be told him to.
Yeah.
Which is shit. Because you're ignoring all of this heritage. What, we can still run Brickfest, but we can't go, oh yeah, by the way, the first ever Brickfest was held at NAW, which was a backyard fest. No, we can't. Brickfest 2012 was one of the best shows I've ever attended. That was the show where I infamously nearly broke my neck.
Sam Jude.
That was the reverse run off ladder.
Beautiful.
That was but I didn't flip out of it. I landed vertically on my head, and that was before the time I knew how to take a reverse run. So I was just like, remove the hands, and Matt still had his legs cracking. But you're taking away all the heritage and all the good stuff about it, and I honestly believe that's why the older yarders won't wrestle with us.
Yeah.
And that would make RCWA a million times better.
All the older yarders, if they came to RCWA, it would make it a million times better. It'd be more of a super show feel. You'd have people actually marking out and not just going by, it's like I said, there's a lot of politics. And no matter how anyone wants to say it, if people think we're bitching, you can think we're bitching, but the thing is there are politics backstage at RCWA. There's people who are getting pushed, who shouldn't be getting pushed, and there's people who are on that team of whatever, I won't even call it creative, of just a couple of friends who are getting pushed because one person likes them.
I generally think that creative as a whole, you have the power to create whoever you want.
Yeah.
I could sit there, and this is backyard wrestling. We're not talking about professional wrestling where they have to have the look and feel.
Yeah.
You push a guy to be strong in backyard wrestling, he's going to look strong.
Yeah.
If you push a guy to look weak, he's going to look weak.
Yeah.
But That is for a further question that we got given.
Yeah.
I don't want to dwell on this because we are going to come back.
So that's cool. Right, on to our next set of questions.
Right, I'm going to ignore Bill's first question.
Alright, we've had a question from Will Ospreay, but it's about a biscuit, so we're not going to answer it. Because fuck you, Will Ospreay, son.
I'm a bourbon biscuit.
I'm custard cream, son.
I'm a
nugger.
What biscuit?
What biscuit is Will Ospreay? Ospreay with his red and blue white ketchup is a penguin.
It's fucking superb. Right.
Main adventure, Johnny White.
My boy.
My boy, Johnny White.
Harley Davis.
Fucking hell.
I think it's a very good question, actually. This is from Sam.
Yep.
Did the USA live up to its potential? I think we have to explain the USA because people are going to be like, what?
Right, the USA was a thing that Sam came back from America, obviously with the GBYWN title in place. And
apparently that means that they can turn me heel. I came back as a face, and it actually really hurt me because I walked out and I'm like, oh, look what I've done. This is a real big accomplishment, and I'm very down on my wrestling. I've never had the biggest self-esteem. I come out and everyone turns their back on me, and I'm like, what the fuck is
everyone
this
booed
shit?
him because he went over to America and
tried to better myself.
Yeah, for some reason apparently that's a bad thing. So I'll never get why that happened because I remember watching it when you come out. This was before I was part of the USA.
It genuinely broke my heart. It was so upsetting, but it wasn't like I generally felt that it wasn't like not a playful thing, but I generally didn't think it was like a story thing.
No,
it generally
felt real.
Like there was a little bit of.
There was a bit underlying factor of people actually being real with you because you went out to America. They just
I was so happy to be involved with the yarding thing because I'll always say this. I wish that I was born a lot younger so I could have been a part of the UK yarding scene,
yeah, absolutely,
the NAWs and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
but I couldn't. And this was my first experience of being with the proper yarders.
Yeah.
And I get back and I've just had two of the best matches I'll ever, like, I'll honestly say that me and Damaris could have been better.
Yep.
I will say that. I think if I had a match with him now, and I know it's only a year ago, I think our match would have been a hell of a lot better. I think Damaris had to put up with a lot of shit, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
I came back and I turned heel, and I said to Steve, if they're going to boo me, I'll turn heel. I turned heel. And I wanted to be this USA guy. I wanted to, sing the American national anthem, which I still don't know the words to, and try and bring like America is better than the UK. And I kind of did feel like that.
Yeah, which it is.
It wasn't any. Oh yeah, the US is better in all of its politics and shit like that. 'Cause it's not.
No.
But like the wrestling is better. And I wanted to be like, you know what, if you're going to hate me for a reason. I am talking shit about you now.
Yeah, absolutely. But the USA was kind of created, first off, it was you, Sam Puncher, and Nicole.
Why was she in it?
Nicole was in it because she had a clipboard.
She had
a clip, that's why. Not the clitoris. She had a clitoris. But yeah, they were formed, and then I was part of the revolution at the point, but I hadn't done fuck all. That was me, Ash, Johnny White, Reese.
That was terrible.
And Summer. That was poor.
Because the revolution started off really well because it had Damien Black in it. It would have had you in it. They're three guys. That,
but
the top guys.
My whole thing was that I came back. Obviously, I turned heel on Will, and then I joined forces with Ash because I wanted to beat up Will and just like have actually a purpose, not just trying. Obviously, my storyline was just to beat up Will, but then they realised the revolution was dying down. And then I'm trying to remember how I joined the USA. I know I did it somehow with helping you or something. But I think I just said it in one match, and then obviously me and Sam, because I don't like this is like a completely true story as well. Like I would have not gotten to the level of confidence in my promos and stuff like that if I wasn't part of the USA. Because
yes, exactly.
We bounced off each other so well. When people talk shit, Sam is a natural shit talker. You are a natural shit talker,
and you're a comedian.
Yeah, so I'll try and make the funny out of stuff. Like there was this thing like Sam referenced earlier, the Underground 100 thing that happened with basically SBW backyarders coming back and embarrassing us, and we went off on a tangent.
And it was awful.
Yeah,
it was not good at all.
But Sam was the serious point, I was the funny point, and I can be serious if I want to. There's no problem with me being serious, because I've had, that's one of my most serious storylines when we did the drug storyline with Will. And
oh shit! Yeah.
Will did an overdose backstage, and I came out being serious about Will. But yeah, it was just, it's ridiculous, obviously, because the USA didn't really. I mean, what we did was amazing. Everything that we did was quality. I loved everything that we had. I mean, that's including like Dan McCarvey being a temporary member and stuff like that.
The Dan McCarvey thing was a dream come true.
Yeah, seeing Dan McCarvey, like this is the first time, bearing in mind, I've been watching him for years, and I know he's like I'll reference him. Dan's a nice guy when you talk to him. He has got a bit of a shitty attitude when it gets to wrestling, though, from what I've seen at NYE and what we saw at RCWA. But I have no problem with any of the Ice Hockey Skits guys. They're amazing. They're all amazing.
I love them.
Kelly seems a bit in his own world, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, he kind of seems introverted, but then as soon as you bring up something in the conversation, he will just dive right in and be fucking hilarious.
Like, I'll honestly say, like, the Canadian guys, they're just going to quickly talk about it.
It's all about them.
When the NYE match, which I'm probably going to go back to in a bit, they came with an agenda. They knew what they wanted to do, and I don't think you had the great guys. You know, again, I've said this once, I've said it many times, I shouldn't have been in that match. I honestly don't believe I should have been in that match, but that's just my personal opinion.
Right.
You could have had someone in that match that would have made it better.
Right, okay.
You could have put like your Don Morris in there or your MX5 in there, and you'd have been fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But when I was playing with them, it was never any, oh, we're talking down to you. It was never any like, oh, this is what we want to do. It doesn't matter. But they did know what they wanted to do. But it wasn't ever like, this is what we want to do. They would ask us. They'd go, oh, this is the spot that we've got.
So essentially, what you're saying is that it wasn't like making them look good. It was literally even. They knew how to evenly match you out.
What? Yeah.
Because that match, like everyone, like so many people have said this now. It was the best match I've ever seen live. It's because you had not just a match. You didn't just have a match which was just spot fest. It actually had a story behind it as well. Like you had the moment where everyone was out and you were in there, and you had Kelly, Mercury and Scott behind you, and you turned around and just beat all of them, and then everyone's like, what the fuck? And it was mental. But
yeah, like having Makabe in the USA was fantastic.
Yeah, but I mean, the USA, I wish.
Why did the this is a fun one. Why did USA split up? Not split up. I wouldn't say, because we're still cool. Even though I'm a heel now and you're a face. If anyone ever said do something with Tim, well, I'd refuse. Because there's mutual respect there. From a storyline perspective, I never turn on you, I turn on one of the new guys. And I want to do a feud now with the new guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to just wrestle new guys, and I want to lose to them. But I think we separated.
Yeah.
Because Bill, Ash,
Storm.
No, Storm wasn't part of it. Origin.
Oh, the Origin, yeah, Origin.
Bill and Ash and Jake, and then later Lee, they formed their own stable, and it was the Big Hill stable, and we knew that
it was like
we knew we weren't going to get time.
It was a build up to nothing.
Origin never done anything.
No,
we done shit.
It's because, and like this is just a completely honest opinion, we were building up to the point where it would have been quality if, like, say, we only had one title, or even if we got the tag belts or something like that as well. But it was such a big build up to just then be scattered away, because obviously the powers that be formed the faction of heels, and it just like I would have liked to have seen USA with gold and a bit of power.
Yeah,
I'd like to see us like technically running the show, but because obviously that's never going to happen now because powers that be. But
I think that will change. But
I think it will change now because of circumstances that have come recently. But it was just, I think we could have lived up to it if we had gold and we had a bit more of a power. I would have rather that it would have been, say, like a Will Ashley face stable.
Yeah,
in a way, with the backing of Zach and John as well.
But then you've got the good and then the bad. Like it works when you have depth in the roster.
Yeah.
I don't believe RCWA has the depth in the roster. Like, the depth will come. Like, you've got the new guys that are improving every time I see them wrestle.
Absolutely.
I've just seen Billy and Andy, and I'm not Andy's biggest fan.
Yeah.
I
Andy
love
pulled
Billy.
it out of the bag.
And they had a fucking... I don't even care about... They had like a 20...
It was 18 and a half minutes.
18 and a half minutes, which is long in RCWA.
They were only meant to go 10. But they went 18 and a half.
And it was superb.
And it was amazing.
It was seriously amazing. Well, it was a super kick spot, and they did a frame. It was the Faymaster spot was incredible.
Faymaster to the floor.
Faymaster to the floor.
And you just heard Andy's head bounce off. They did 3 super kicks, and the third super kick, Bill kicked right through his face.
Yeah, he literally went.
And it went through his head, and it was amazing.
Oh, yeah,
but that match, like, as you said, I'm not the biggest fan of Andy. I like Billy's gimmick. I just think Andy's a bit generic.
Yes,
in a way, but
I agree.
he pulled it out.
But he needs to see wrestling. Like
Everyone pulled it out yesterday.
Everyone did. Days remember, like, we're going to plug this. Days remember, it was one of the best shows I've been to, maybe this year, yeah.
The atmosphere, all the matches were good.
Britfest was good.
Yeah. Britfest was really, really good.
Like, because obviously you had your match, which was fantastic.
Hey, calm down.
You had me and Storm, which was good.
Yep.
The 4-way was nuts. The main event 4-way was nuts.
It was nuts, yeah.
It was nuts.
But
Swerve at the end was bullshit.
Swerve at the end was bullshit, but we knew, so...
I already knew, so... Sam Puncher told me, by the way. Fuck you, everyone that thought that I was just dirt sheeting.
Bald-headed cunt.
You balding prick.
Yeah.
By the way, I never got with clay face. That never happened.
Right.
But did I think USA lived up to its full potential? Fuck no.
No. We could have gone further.
Next question.
Next question.
Is from Dan for Vertigo.
Oh, DVB.
Do you miss me?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes, I really do miss
You're
him.
a funny guy.
He never used a neck bump, and his last match with me, he was like, "Give me a transmission suplex." I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "I can't exactly fuck myself up now if I'm leaving." And she just gave him like a really horrible, "Oh, my neck's gone." You said you can't fuck yourself up. Come on, get up. But no, I miss Dan a lot. I miss Dan. Like, Dan was just a funny guy to have.
Dan had
really
his
got well
moments,
with Dan.
and I wish they would have used him more. I would have liked him when Dan was such a generic face for ages.
Yeah.
As soon as he turned heel, he had this out of nowhere purpose that he was actually relevant. No, I'm saying he wasn't relevant for ages. Do you know what I mean? He was used for a little bit.
For someone of his quality.
Yeah.
And when you actually look at him, like,
he is a decent wrestler.
He's a very decent wrestler.
Yeah.
He used to have very good matches. And for someone that didn't take your horrible one, he used to thoroughly entertain you.
Yeah, and he used to have a good match.
I usually worry about people that don't take, not horrible ones, because I don't want everyone to go sit there and go and die. But like, for people that genuinely don't go, "Oh yeah, I ain't going to neck, or I ain't going to do this, I ain't going to take these moves." I get bored of them, because there's only so many moves they're going to take.
Yeah.
I don't ever see him take like a German suplex and stuff like that, like, "Oh, I'm in neck." But he was really innovative.
He was very all round. Like his last match. I mean, the last match that you guys had, that was a very sad moment.
What, his retirement?
Yeah, his retirement.
That
match.
was horrible.
That was because the thing was, like, you can't describe the atmosphere of what happened, because people knew it was either going to be Sam's last match or Dan's last match, and people were still like didn't know it was Dan leaving.
I think I tried to make it.
It's because, like, not saying this is a bad thing for you, but you said you were going to retire so many times, man. And like, people thought this is just going to be another Sam Jude thing, but as soon as it was Dan, everything just went quiet. And the fact is, like, usually after a show when everyone's taking the ring down and stuff like that, and taking the ring down.
Take the ring down.
Yeah, usually when everyone's taking the ring down, getting away, everyone's saying their goodbyes. There's usually a bit of liveliness, isn't there? So you go around having a laugh with people afterwards.
It was genuinely dead.
It was dead. There was like no noise. Everyone went up to him and said bye, and it was dead.
I cried. I was his last match. We had the retirement match, and it was such a great match. And Dan sits there now and says that it wasn't. But we had that match, and I loved it. And then the end, which was really sad, it was quite funny, really, because the whole end was I went for a cover, and me thinking that it was going to be the final cover, I got off the pin, and I got off. I got off on him. I got off the cover, and I said, no, let's not do this. Let's quit. Let's both quit together and let's leave. and he gets up and he slaps me in the face and says, "You can't kill a Canadian, you can only destroy one. One of my finishes is a Canadian destroyer, over in England anyway.
Cheap pop.
Hit him with a Canadian 1, 2, 3." And I remember him hugging me, and you were the ref for that. Him hugging me, and all I could feel was him shaking me, he was crying. And that was so horrible to be a part of, because I knew that Dan isn't the type of person to go, "I'm quitting," and then come back.
Yeah.
I honestly thought...
He's one of those ones you honestly believe that that's it.
Yeah, and I honestly thought that was it. And he hasn't come back since.
No.
And it's quite
But
sad,
the truth
really.
is, we do miss you,
I
Dan.
don't miss you, Dan. I want you back. Timmy from Toronto.
Hey, relevant though.
It's Sat.
AKA Sat.
What would you like to achieve in RCWA? Nothing.
No.
I've achieved everything.
Only thing I'd like to achieve is a relatively fun atmosphere, which has been done. I've done what I needed to do.
I don't want to win titles and shit like that, because that's meaningless. I want to create a nice atmosphere. Like you said, I want to create a nice atmosphere.
I just want it to be wrestling with mates, having a laugh, and just obviously being on the same level as Will Ospreay for both being the second best wrestlers of the year.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Yeah, me, Will, and Tim both got joint voted second best wrestler of the year. So see you in NXT.
There we go. That's the one.
Yeah, so I don't think there's anything I want to achieve in RCWA.
No.
I think I've achieved a lot. I've wrestled the people that I want to wrestle. I do want to wrestle Emma at one point.
Yeah.
I want to see Dean Ambrose fan number 12 start wrestling, which she is training.
Oh, cool.
She's training down in Richmond.
Very nice.
That's where Cannon Powers got. Cannon Powers? Theodore Powers got trained.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm expecting some good things there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's no people that I want to wrestle anymore. I'd like to have one like solid, hardcore match though.
Yeah.
Like and legit,
that's the same with me.
And legitimately shock people. But that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think that will happen. But yeah, I don't think there's anything. I just want to achieve people getting over. I want to push people.
Yeah.
And I want to get all the new guys doing all the things they want to do. I want them to achieve. I don't really care about me anymore. I just want them to do everything that they want to do.
You want to be Chris Jericho?
I do. I want to be over Fandango at WrestleMania.
And then go back and tour.
I'm gonna start a band up. A really terrible band.
The Adjudicators.
Fucking hell. That's fantastic. This is a hard one.
Okay.
Carl, your thoughts on Storm winning the title?
Okay, so if you didn't know already, which you probably do, this is for Rad Hazard's updated record. Storm won the title at Days You Remember against Will Ospreay. Now, I liked the match. The match was awesome.
Match was fun.
Mate, Will came out as Prince Dipshit. Came out as a Devitt ripoff.
It's still cool.
Still amazing.
I
he looked awesome. It was very well. Yeah. So he came out as Two-Face.
That was really good.
Which was awesome. And yeah, Storm won the title. It was very well done because there was an ending that you thought was going to be the ending and it weren't. Yeah, and then obviously Will lost. Storm won the title, and I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to obviously see there's a new title holder now, and it will probably be a bit different. But it's like what is a bit unexpected of what the future holds. Like, where can you go from here? Because it just seems like it's one last title reign for Storm. Because Storm has even said that he's getting on a bit. Yeah. And I've got no problem with Storm whatsoever. I think he's one fucking funny guy. He's genuine, and he knows this is one last title reign. But then I don't know where they go from here. But that's my whole opinion on it. That's case closed for me. But I know you've got stuff to say about it.
So
say stuff.
This year for me, personally, has been my best wrestling year.
Absolutely.
It generally has. I've done everything I need to do. I got told 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I was winning the RCWA title at the event that's just gone.
Yeah.
Storm, Chris Birch, and I love Chris. Me and Chris really do get on. We rip the shit out of each other, but we get on.
Yeah.
Very do. And he come up to me and said that he doesn't think that I should win the title. He just doesn't think that my face push is going too well. I ultimately think that the faces are controlled by the bookers, and the bookers can make the face as strong as they want to make him.
Yeah.
And I thought they'd done their best with me. I prefer wrestling as heel, but I was getting pops. I was in some of the main storylines. I had a really good match with Bill, where I made him tap, but then he pinned me at the same time, but they only referenced the pin. And then I was meant to wrestle Storm in the final of the title tournament, which would go on to face, and I was told it was going to be a draw, and then we'd go on to Days Remembering to be a triple threat, and I would win a triple threat. I'd be the underdog for it, and I'd win it. I get told 2 days before I wrestle Storm, Storm's going over, and Storm's winning the title. And Storm, like, no disrespect to Storm, because I had a really good feud with Storm.
Yeah.
I had a great street fight with Storm. I love Storm in the ring. He's a fun guy. I felt like all the work that I'd done all year, all the hard work I'd put in trying to improve my character, all the hard work I put in trying to be a good heel, was just for nothing.
Yeah, and that's what you said earlier. It's like, that's exactly what it felt like with the USA. All the hard work that we put into the USA, making it believable, making it an actual...
And I actually spoke to Wilson yesterday.
Yeah.
And Wilson's on the booking team, and I'm not saying that I hate the booking team. I'm friends with all of them.
Yeah.
As are you.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Wilson, and Wilson said I was the only person that actually stood up for you. Wilson was the only person that said that I should still win the title. And me and Wilson are not like me and Ash are better friends than I am with
You're
Wilson.
not as close as Wilson as you are with the rest of the booking team, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he said I was the only person sticking up for you. And I thought, you've turned me face. You turned me face. I had nowhere to go. Hello, Kaylee. Don't even acknowledge my existence. No. I don't have anything to do. I can't sit there and decide what you do for me. When I do, you moan at me. When I don't, you say I'm not coming up with shit.
Yeah.
What am I meant to do? Do I sit here and go, oh, okay, blah, 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 blah?
It just seems like a constant battle for you all the time.
It does. It really does.
But I don't like... I completely agree with you on that, because obviously you don't know what's happening, you don't know where it's going. But then that's the same for me, because obviously I'm still in their TV champion at the moment, but there's no one I'm being put into a feud with. It's been the confusion for the past few months, because I get told obviously I'm facing Reese, and the only build-up that me and Reese had is one backstage promo and then a tag match which had no relevance whatsoever, and then out of nowhere Brian gets a shot and Emma gets a shot. No one's earned that shot.
But
I'd rather have like a legitimate story.
At BXW, Will Hellebrand came up to me and said, I have one query with RCWA.
Yeah.
I said, what's that? And he went, there's no consistency.
No.
And I just found that, but I was trying to defend us.
And that's from somebody who watches it.
As a fan.
As a fan.
Like, if I sit there and watch BXW has booking consistency.
BXW has storylines you can follow.
Yeah, BXW has the perfect balance between dream matches and story.
Yeah.
And I told Chris and Mike this. RCWA, I want to be able to follow their... I want to be able to like it as a fan. And some of the times I do. Domin and Phantom yesterday.
Domin Phantom.
Loved the feud.
Still my favourite match of yesterday. Really good feud build up. And the payoff was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
2 big men taking horrible bumps.
Yeah.
Love it. But I just felt like it was a bit of a slap in the face, if I'm honest. And I was sitting there watching their match yesterday and I thought, you know what? I've got Storm, who's this funny baby face, this
comedy act.
Yeah, this comedy baby face, and there was me being pushed as a serious heel or serious face, that was working all these big segments and worked this main event and actually beat Will Ospreay, and it just went, okay, fuck it.
And it just changed in an instant. It's ridiculous. That's just what it seems like with politics, and you can say how much it is in politics and everything like that. Like, I've had my opinion, case closed, all that, but then from what that point seems, now that you've explained it, it just seems entirely unfair that you get a push out of nowhere, you're being pushed, bearing in mind, like you said, with the whole submit pin angle that you and Will were going for, and then it just gets dropped. So then it doesn't look fun on camera, it doesn't make sense why Storm's getting like a title shot properly, because obviously he beat you in the Gold Rush tournament and then he gets the title shot. But why is all of a sudden now has he decided to turn serious?
I honestly don't know. I do think it was a bit of a slap in the face, and it did piss me off a little bit.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're all just people wrestling in their underwear, touching other men. I can't take it too seriously.
Absolutely.
But I just feel like if I play well in a football game or a soccer game to all the American viewers, and I have a good game, then I expect to start the next week and get gratitude for it.
Yeah.
I just felt like I was having consistently good matches, and it's really weird for me because I don't have consistently good matches. I'm a real it's really weird. I was a really inconsistent performer, and it's really funny because when I go over America and I have these brilliant matches, and even like every time I go to America, I top my favourite matches, and then I come to England and I can't perform at that level.
Yeah.
And I honestly think I thrive under that pressure because I really do feel like I have to prove something. Every time I go over there, I have to prove something. But I felt like I proved it this year, and then to have someone go, "Oh yeah, no, don't worry about it." It was just upsetting. It really was.
There's a bit of a slap in the face.
Yeah, it was. But yes, that's my wasn't it? Do you want to quickly go to an ad break questionnaire? So we go for a cigarette.
Right, we're going to go for a quick break. We'll let Rad Hazard talk to you, but we'll be back on part two of this GBYWN podcast.
And as I said, folks, that is only part one of this great Q&A between the current reigning and defending RCWA Internet Television Champion Tim Lee and former GBYWN World Champion Sam Jude. And it's going to get even bigger and better as they continue to answer questions, including yours from the GBYWN Epicenter on Facebook. So until then, folks, this is the sounds of Backyard Wrestling. I am your host, Rad Hazard, signing off for the Global Backyard Wrestling Nation podcast.
Alright guys, good job guys. Attention please.
No.
I really didn't even think this was an option whenever I came here, but until a little bit ago, whenever I wrestled Scott Hansen, I didn't really realize exactly what that was going to mean to me. And like, BYS 5 is still going to happen, but I think you saw your last Sic Ric match today.
What?
I can't do it anymore. I can't watch my friends get hurt. I just can't do this. I'm done, guys.
No, whoa. What? Rick. No way.
It's funny you mentioned that. Alright, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but ever since I've come back to wrestling, every show I wrestle at, I get hurt. Everyone. I come back from the shows in less pieces than I went with. You know? Name me a show I wrestled at where I didn't get hurt. You can't do it. Midwest Fest? Yeah, before, but then I came back and now I'm on this downward spiral. And today, obviously, was a very scary moment, and I thank you guys for helping me, and I thank you guys so much for helping me out, but it was really scary. I've never had anything like that happen before. Been doing some thinking since then. See, I came back to wrestling because I was depressed, as some of you guys know. I hit rock bottom, and just recently, I tried to kill myself and spent the night in the hospital. And it's not fun anymore, especially now that I'm getting hurt. I've had so many tears. I've bled. Everything for this. And I don't think, especially what Rick just said, we got pen name. If I'm not hurt, you're hurt. You know? We're always getting hurt. We're 19. And it's not just little things, man. We're killing ourselves. All these tears, all this blood I've shed for this. This is hard. This is very hard. Everything. All the gas mileage, all the money. Everything, guys. You can do that. No problem. Every stitch, every broken bone.
I hate my friends. I know.
I need to talk to you, though. I've cried so much for this business, if you can call it a business. I've bled so much for this business.
We're professional backyard wrestlers. No, we're independent.
I had a nice talk to myself in the bathroom, which sounds a little bit weird. I just looked in the mirror. And, you know, I just analyzed everything and I told myself how stupid I am now. You know? And I think I've come to a conclusion that as long as there's blood in my body, it will come out for this. As long as there's tears in my eyes, it will come out for this. As long as there's breath in my lungs, it will all be kicked out of my body for this, because I love this. And it's days like these where I don't know where the hell I am, that I realize that it's all worth it. And I don't want any of you young guys to ever forget how much you love this. I'm not going anywhere. Are you going anywhere?
I kind of feel like you just stole my spotlight there. Like, I wanted this to be my moment, and you just come up and do this little, oh, I'm not going anywhere, so fuck it, I'm not going to go anywhere.
That's right! Yeah!
That was a good one. It was a good one. You're
gonna get a good one.
I hate you guys so much. Good thing I didn't care at all.
I'm not gonna consider a match good unless I go to the hospital. So thank you so much for everything, guys. And I don't want you guys to ever doubt yourselves, because when you doubt yourselves, you forget what you love.
Except for Chonga, you can go hang out.
Yeah, Chonga. Just don't lose the passion. It's a bit ironic that here I am wearing a BCW shirt. I just got my ass handed to me by the Vancougers.
You?
Guys that, yeah, we did. But come on now, I got knocked out. You know, I can hardly
punch in the face.
I can hardly call myself a veteran. But I've been doing this for a while. And I've seen a lot of guys come and go, and I see a lot of guys looking at me right now, and you guys are the future. And I mean it. Don't give up. Please.
Yeah, he's right. I am the future. Speaking of the future, I have the match next. Let's go.
With that being said, Lane Martin, ladies and gentlemen. I can't.
You're gonna hear these words. Steve, you know when you get down here, go fuck yourself. I thought it was. I cried. I'm like, no, you can't.